Thank you. That was a long welcome, Dr. Jesusa. Magandang hapon po sa lahat ng magulang. Magandang hapon sa lahat ng nandito sa ating MAPS sa webinar that I'm so excited to be part of. Thank you, Ms. Jesusa, for that warm welcome. And hello to all the parents who are here. I hope that they stay tuned hanggang mamaya, hanggang matapos po tayo at mag-ready ng mga tanong na relevant on parenting. Shall I have the floor, Dr. Jesusa? Shall I go on?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I will start. Thank you again. So good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm going to join you as a MAPS community to how to cope with education in the new normal. Ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay very critical for us parents. I'm just looking at the feeds in the Facebook. For those of you who are here, I'm looking at the 6,000 people who are here. And I'm just so happy to tell you that I'm a product of a Catholic school. Hindi ko alam kung kaya nyo. I've seen people in the feeds telling me that, hello from this school. I am a proud product of Catholic College. I am a product of a parochial school, and I know you speak the same language. You speak the language of love. We speak the language of the good news of the Lord. So good afternoon again. I would like to start with this session by looking at this, by reflecting at this. The pandemic has brought about so much from parents. Tama po ba? Kaya let's hold hands, parents. Sabihin niyo sa akin, ano yung common, ano yung lagi niyong concern sa ngayon? At the present moment, what is that you are very much concerned about? I like it that we can engage with each other. I'm checking my Facebook para makita ko yung mga comments nyo. So what is it that you are very much concerned about right here, right now? Sa ating new normal in education and all, ano yung concern nating mga magulang? Sinasama ko yung sarili ko. I'm also a parent. I have a grade 8 and I have a grade 5. So I have a high school and I have a grade school. Kaya nga, ang sabi ng maraming parents, the struggle is real. Tama po ba? Diba? The struggle is real kasi minsan nakita ko online, ang daming lumalabas na notes, no? Na mga memes, ang sabi parang, bakit daw yung parent ang parang naka-enroll? Alam ko, ang daming demand sa buhay natin. We have work, we have the family to manage, we have, of course, our safety. Dadagdag pa natin, we need to be the assistant of our students, of our kids. But remember, we are actually the parents. We are not the teachers. Our kids are actually enrolled in very good schools na pinagkatiwalaan natin. So paano natin mako-complement ngayon? Ano yung tamang priority natin ngayon? And how do we cope? Let's just reflect on two words. We need to cope and we need to complement. Complement education and we need to cope together. But I would like you to reflect on a third C na ngayon ko lang naisip. We have to reflect, how is our parent-child connection? Ang sabi nga ni Pope Francis, I would like to take it from this. This is one of the favorite lines that Pope Francis said in his visit here in the Philippines. He said that the wisdom of parents must guide their children in the digital age. Paano na mangyayari yan? Our kids are actually our guide. Who can relate here? Na mas madalas alam pa ng anak natin mag-navigate online. Kaya alam nyo, I was telling Ms. Jesusa earlier that ang nakita kong pattern as the start of this pandemic, at the start of the distance online learning scenario that we are already experiencing now, many parents are anxious. Kaya ba ng anak kong mag-cope? Kaya ba niya talaga? Well, pag inisip natin, kaya ng anak natin mag-cope digitally. I've noticed that many parents are, in all honesty, can I be honest and can I be blunt with you, friends? In all honesty, many parents are the ones who are anxious themselves. Sila yung medyo natatakot. Pero ang anak natin, they can navigate easily the digital world, the digital sphere, because they are the digital kids to begin with. So looking at this, we need to reflect, nasaan tayo dito? How are we coping and have we upgraded ourselves? Can you look at my screen? For those of you who are here, I know I have about, 2,000.2.3 parents watching. I would like you to write this in the comment section. If you are ready and you want to upgrade, Can you type there, I am upgrading as a parent? Bakit kailangan natin mag-upgrade? Di ba po, marami sa atin ang ginagamit na gadget ng anak natin, lalo na kung napaglumaan natin. Ako, yung isang luma kong laptop, ginamit ng anak ko. Pero bago ko yun ipasa sa kanya, alam niyo po, pinaayos ko. Meron akong pina-upgrade. Pag hindi natin pina-upgrade ang isang gadget, maiiwan. Pag hindi natin in-upgrade ang ating software sa phone, alam niyong nangyayari, meron na tayong mga apps at mga features na hindi magamit. In short, pag hindi tayo nag-upgrade as parents, maiiwanan tayo ng mga anak natin. The reason why many parents have a hard time connecting with their kids is because we are operating in the past, but our kids are the kids of the digital age. Are you with me? Kaya tayo nahirapan mag-cope kasi hindi natin in-upgrade yung sarili natin. Thank you for those of you who are typing in the comment box. So coping and upgrading magkasama yan. As we cope, we need to upgrade. As we upgrade, we learn to cope. So are you with me? I hope that you stay tuned until the end of this webinar. I would like you also to reflect how we are in the pre-pandemic to present. I've noticed from the many webinars that I had, from the Facebook Live that I've conducted, and all the parent engagement that I had, I've noticed that the pre-pandemic to present, that's a challenge. The pre-pandemic, ito yung mga kinagawian natin. We are wired that way. Tayo mismo, lumaki tayo as parents. Lumaki tayo na that our classroom is actually inside the class. And hindi nalilimit ang ating classroom in the four corners of the laptop. Our classroom is the four corners of the class and the four corners of the school. Ang luwag. That's why we have to tweak our mindsets. We have to tweak where we're going because the pre-pandemic to present, it's a challenge, diba? Pero alam nyo ba kung ano yung mas malaking challenge? The pandemic in our mindset. What is that? We do not want to adapt to the new normal. Ang dami kong nabasa, ang dami kong naobserbahan, at ang dami kong na-encounter na tao. They keep comparing. Are you with me? They keep comparing, dati naman ganito, dati ang grades ganito, dati ang exam. But you know, and then dati, pag sinabihan yung anak ko ganito, dati, yeah, we can just enumerate all the things we've been doing dati. But all of these things in the past may not be applicable to what we need now. So we need to upgrade our skills. We relate differently with our kids, our family, and digital media. What we used to before may not be applicable at this time. For example, our kids are used to before that online using their gadget is for entertainment and leisure. And then, you know, they watch Netflix, nag-game sila dyan. Now, we need to upgrade how they use it because the way they use it is for academic, it's for education, and it's for learning. So, kailangan natin makita yon. So, dati ang learning pattern natin, it's in the classroom, but now actually we can learn in varied means. We can learn from videos, we can learn from modules, we can learn from almost everything, and we can even learn from conversations such as this, such as what you're doing. So thank you for commenting at the comment section of how you are upgrading as parents. Wow, there's just so many parents from my alma mater. So we relate differently with our kids, our family, and digital media. But I would like you to remember, friends, what we are used to before may not be applicable. Pwedeng tama naman, wala namang masama sa ginagawa natin. Perfect yung solutions natin dati. Pero sometimes we need to tweak and we need to upgrade because they're not applicable, they're not useful at the present moment. I would like to invite you to this. The present has a purpose. Alam ko po, parang kayo, magulang din ako, nahihirapan tayo. Ang dami nating challenge. But let's look at this, that despite difficulty, it has an opportunity and it's a chance. I think the theme of MAPSA, it's a chance to make all things new. You know, incidentally, I'm a part of a community called the Feast of Brother Bo Sanchez. That's my Catholic community. We have this what we call used to be the 𝘾𝘼𝙏 conference that has been running for about 20 years already. It's a very, very big inspirational conference. This year, this November, ang theme niya talaga, binago na yung pangalan, ginawa na siyang Feast Conference. It's supposed to be a very big event. Every year, we gather more than 15,000 people in SMX, in our MOA. And then ang kanyang theme is in the beginning, because it means all things new. And I invite you to that mindset, that this present, ito, kung ano nangyayari sa atin ngayon. Alam ko, parents, marami tayong pinagdadaanan, tayo ay nahihirapan. But let's just remember, let's look for that opportunity to turn this into something bigger. Let's look for this time, a chance to make all things new. Birthdays can be celebrated differently. Learning can be celebrated differently. The parent-child connection can be done differently. And even Christmas can be celebrated differently. If we keep comparing to how things are before, mapofrustrate lang tayo at hindi mauubos ang ating mga hinaing at sentimiento. But if we look at things in a different way, and it's a way for us to reboot, to restart, and to recalibrate things, to make all things new, and then we are invited to have that perception shift. So parents, I would like to invite you to that perception shift. Can you say that with me? Perception shift. That yung mga nakikita nating problema ngayon, actually, hindi lahat sa kanila problema. Yung nakikita natin pandemic, yes, it is a big crisis. It may be a big problem. But it's also an invitation for us to revisit our values, to filter, and for us to learn new ways of doing things. Kaya, as much as, you know, it may be stressful, but then it's also what we call perception shift. Kasi, one of my favorite family therapists, in the name of Virginia Satir, I like this quote from her. She said, problems are not the problem. Coping is the problem. So we are all here to learn how we can cope better, right? So here, I would like you to say, coping is the problem. Yung mental health issue, yung hirap ng anak nyo na hindi niya masagutan yung kanyang task sheet, that's not the main problem. You know the main problem. It's hindi yung difficulty ng lesson, hindi yung internet connection. Hindi main problem din yung, hindi main problem na hindi kayo pinapansin ng anak nyo at hindi nakikinig sa atin. You know what's the main problem is the way we are coping. Maybe we are talking to our child differently. Maybe they need to be approached in another way. Maybe it's not the internet connection, kaya hindi mapakali yung anak natin. Hindi natin tinitingnan. Baka naman may learning problem. Baka naman hindi siya talagang niya kayang mag-focus ng matagal. Kailangan niyang tumayo, pero nakikinig pa siya. So it's invitation for us to look into what are the other areas that could be causing the problem. And sometimes the invitation of a problem is check our ability to cope with the situation. Problems are not the problem. Coping is the problem. So that is the thing that I would like you to check. How are you coping? I would like to ask you, friends, in a scale of 1 to 5, how are you coping in this learning from home, work from home? Sa atin marami, I'm also working from home. I'm going to teach from home. I would like you to rate yourself, parents. 1 to 5. 5 being the highest. Kung paano kayo nagpo-cope dito sa sitwasyon natin sa ating mga anak. 5 the highest, 1 is the lowest. Gradean nyo po yung sarili nyo para makita natin nasan tayo. And then the parent and the child, alam nyo, as I said, one of the biggest perception shift that we can do while I wait for your answers is that we have to check our alignment, our bond, and our communication. Kaya sinasabi ko minsan, sometimes it's not really that the focus that's the problem. Meron akong dito nakikita na tanong, how can we keep them focused with their schoolwork with all the disturbance and distraction? Kasi po, instead of them focusing on finishing their task and understanding, they are more focused on other things like games and YouTube. So i-align natin. Did you discuss with your child that they're not supposed to access YouTube early on? So early on, the rules should be set. Early on, we should have put already, the alignment there is that school time, it's this time, mommy will just check, I know you can do it. But kung gamitin mo ang YouTube or mag-game ka sa oras na dapat ay nasa school ka, then there's an accompanying consequences for that. That's aligning everything. Pero alam nyo, ito yan. Alignment is that malinaw sa bata. Alignment is nililinaw natin yung value for school, yung expectations ng parents, at ina-align din natin ng maayos yung ating sarili. Pero friends, alam niyo ba yung very challenging? What is very challenging? The alignment will not happen if the bond is not intact. Ibig sabihin, ang hirap mag-align kung walang relasyon. So, that alignment would happen if we have a good relationship with our child. So kung ang anak natin hindi nakikinig, or sasabihin natin, ang tigas ng ulo ng batang yan. Matigas ba yung ulo talaga? Or there is a problem with our parent-child relationship? There is a concern there. So you have to check that. Because when you say alignment, align ba tayo, anak? Are we on the same page? Ika nga. Alam mo ba yung expectations for school? We have to check that. Because when we say, our bond, kumusta yung bond natin? Kaya pala hindi nakikinig. At yung ibang parents, hindi nila mapasunod yung anak nila. Kasi wala namang relasyon eh. Remember, our relationship with our kids before, the dynamics of our relationship with our kids before, in the pre-pandemic is different from how they are now. Before, honestly, pag hindi sila nakinig sa atin, we can just, easily let go. We can easily give up. Kasi pwede tayong, alis na lang muna ako ng bahay, naiinis ako sa inyo. We can go to the mall. We can go elsewhere. Or we can go to work and do not deal with the problem. So, we have to revisit. Kung may problema, this one, it's not a trick. But I would like to share with you, kung meron kayo nakikita ang problema sa alignment, I would like you to check how is the bond, how is the relationship. The bond is your emotional connection, and I have to be blunt with you. I have to give you straight talk. Parents, hindi porke anak natin sila, kilala natin sila. Baka kaya sila hindi nakikinig sa atin, hindi natin kinikilala yung anak natin. So this pandemic, them being at home and learning from home, it's an opportunity for us to get to know them. Are you still with me? I will say that again. This pandemic is an opportunity for us to check our alignment with our kids. And it's an opportunity for us to strengthen the parent-child bond or emotional relationship. And in that manner, we get to know our child again. We learn to listen. At dyan papasok yung 3. Nakita nyo yan, communication. A, B, C, alignment, bond, communication. Yung communication nyo, pag nag-usap ba kayo, nagkukumustahan ba tayo? Kinikilala ba natin yung anak natin in every meal time? Or ang tanong mo lang, anong score mo kanina? Ano yung assignment? Napasa mo na ba? That is very compliance-based. But when we converse with them, we ask them, anong mga bagay na nag-e-enjoy ka? Sino yung mga classmates na gusto mong kausap? Ano ba yung mga ginagawa nyo together with other classmates pag wala pang teacher? So it's getting to know not just the routines, but also how they are as a student, how they are as a friend, how they are as a child. What are the things that you would like to learn aside from school? So when we communicate to them, do you communicate to them for them to comply? Or do you communicate to them because you want to converse and you want to get to know them better? I hope we communicate with them to get to know them better. Because when we converse with them, they easily comply. When they comply, and then alignment and the bonding can deepen. You see how they are one and the other. We need to develop that level of competency, friends, to be able to converse and communicate well with our kids. You know what's the magic? It's not a magic, it's not a secret. Kasi kung meron tayong relasyon, mas madali natin silang mapasunod. Kung may relasyon tayo sa kanila, meron silang hiya. Nakailang ko mag-aral, nagtatrabaho si Mami. Pag nagtayo ay may relasyon, meron din silang degree of respect. Meron silang takot. Meron silang disiplina sa sarili. Kasi nabuo natin ang ating relasyon sa kanila. So isn't it that how they are, that's not the problem in itself. The problem maybe is our relationship. And that is why I ask you, this is the big perception shift that we need to do, that we need to establish. How can we cope better? Ang dami nating gustong mangyari, pero honestly, balik tayo sa simula, in the beginning. In the beginning of everything, the beginning of your child being able to listen to you, and you being able to listen to your child is actually getting to know them again and strengthening your parent-child bond. It's not enough that you are there and you provide them with the latest gadgets, with the highest internet connection. But what does these kids need? They need parents who talk to them, who gets to know them. And alam nyo, isa sa favorite story ko, ang paborito ng mga bata is parents na nakikinig without judgment. Parents, kaya ba natin yun? Isa yan sa narinig ko. When I was a young counselor, my students will tell me, Miss, pag naman sinabi namin sa mommy namin, hindi naman po kasi sila nakikinig, nagagalit sila. Are we reacting or are we responding? And then that is the points that I'll share with you. So, you know, as I said, these are the common concerns that I've seen with parents: attention span and focus, prolonged screen time, real-life socialization para sila mag-socialize, engaging in activity, mental health, and managing challenge. Alam ko nandyan yung problema, nandyan yung presenting problem. Pero friends, balik tayo sa pagiging magulang. Magulang na may relasyon. Kasi even us, hindi naman automatic na may relasyon tayo sa magulang natin, di ba? So what is that? We need to understand the child and the challenges. All our children, lahat tayo. As a psychologist, lahat tayo, nakikita ko, concern natin to, the physical aspect of our children, active play, sports movement, yung cognitive nila, yung distance learning, focus and attentions, critical thinking, schooling at home, yan ang challenge nila. Challenge din natin. Also, they are very much challenged in their emotions. They don't know how to recognize emotions. Of course, we need to develop their EQ more than their IQ right now. So, social, staying home, relating with parents, nagtataka tayo, paano sila magkakaroon ng social skills? Nandyan po tayo, nandyan yung mga tao sa bahay. We will be the source of social interaction with them. And like less peer interactions, pero meron naman kapatid, meron din naman kaibigan na pwedeng makausap. And of course, more importantly, I believe as Catholic schools, as Catholic parents, we need to revisit and revise our family values. Kailangan makita at maramdaman. Ito na po yung pagkakataon para maipaliwanag natin sa mga anak natin kung bakit nila kailangan tumulong sa house chores. Kanina, my daughter is asking me, why do I need to be the one to help wash the clothes? Because I know you need to learn that. And they need to learn also, why do they need to take turns in cleaning the bathroom? Because it's part of the values at home na hindi perfecto. Sabi nga ng nanay at lola ko dati, hindi dapat na senyorito at senyorito. So sa akin, yan yung added skills that we can understand, but we can also develop kasi nasa bahay tayo lahat ngayon. So here, families can cope better. We parents, we can cope better. Yung tanong ko kanina, nasagot niyo ba? May mga nakita akong nag-score, mga 3. Meron pa ba? Come on, you can score yourself. Score yourself. How are you coping? 1 to 5. Families can cope better by fostering the parents and the child's emotional well-being. Alam niyo, we're always focusing on, I believe for the past weeks, we're always focusing on the content, gaano karami yung natapos ng anak ko, nasubmit ba lahat. Next week, alam nyo, meron ng mga parent-child meetings, meron ng parent-child parent conference. So we need to check also, how are we coping in our well-being? So here, I would like to invite you to another quote. I love this quote. Life is not what it's supposed to be. It's what it is. The way you cope with it makes a difference. Life is not what it is, not supposed to be. Where are you supposed to be now? Baka may break tayo, may bakasyon tayo, hindi natin magagawa. Hindi, nandito tayo. Dapat ganitong ginagawa ko. Hindi rin. It's how it is. The way we cope with it. So ang tanong ko, wow, nakikita ko yung score niyo, 4, 3, 4, very good. How are you coping? It will make a big difference. And alam niyo, parents, nung nagsisimula itong pandemic, ang common questions ng parents, paano yung kung anxious yung anak ko? Ang tanong ko, how anxious are you? If your kids see us, if our kids see us coping well, I'm sure they will cope better. Kaya sa atin po magmumula yon. Minsan in one of my webinars, meron nag-comment, talagang yung comment niya with exclamation point. Parent factor talaga. Actually, yes. We matter a lot. Kaya parents, ang isi-share ko sa inyo, how can we ensure the emotional well-being, our own emotional well-being, and the emotional well-being of our kids so we can support each other. Are you still with me? Emotional well-being recognizes that our emotional experiences are important and influence other aspects of our life. So, totoo po yan. So, kahit na sabihin nyo na anxious ako, natatakot ako, pero how are you dealing with everything? How are you dealing with these things? So, we have to make sure. So, one thing that our kids would need is that establish and keep routines in the family. Paano po yung mga routines niyo sa pamilya? Meron po ba kayong routines? Meron po ba kayong mga sinusunod sa pamilya? Meron po ba kayong mga na-establish na? Because at this point, at this time and age, we're supposed to be, navigating a regular routine. Routines actually, in times of stress and crisis, routines actually gives children the assurance and the predictability. So one of the things way we cope, kahit na sabihin mo, ano ba yan, routines na naman? Yes, friends. Importante po to set and maintain routines to help our children cope and make school work time productive. Na ganitong oras yung gising, ito yung oras ng school. Kaya ako sinabi kanina, if your kids are into other things na games and also YouTube, bigyan nyo sila ng routine. As in, kahunin nyo sila. Alam ko mahirap to sa simula, lalo na kung nasimulan na medyo alanganin na. Pero pag na-establish nyo po yung routine, I know pareho kayong magpapasalamat sa isa't isa. Set and maintain routines that can help children cope and make schoolwork time productive. And of course, friends, ito kailangan kong i-encourage sa inyo. Allow your time for self-care and pursue other interests, offline interests. Ano ibig ko sabihin? Allow yourself time for self-care. Tayo parents, paano natin matutulungan ang ating mga anak kung hindi kasama sa routine natin sa sarili at routine natin sa kanila na mag-self-care? Naniniwala ako, importante yung quiet time din ng mga bata. Yung anak ko paghapon pagkatapos ng class niya, ang ginagawa niya, natutulog. Sabi ko, it's good kasi ang aga ng class niya, 7:20, he needs to be online na. He needs to be in class. So sabi ko, it's a good routine. At sa hapon, ang isang kanyang self-care time, since he's 13, I'm encouraging him to be productive. Of course, they help out in the chores. Minsan may reklamo, minsan aayaw, pero hanggat pwede, pwede. At ang isang ginagawa niya, he bikes around in the nearby streets and then it's okay. So allow time for self-care and pursue other interests. Yung daughter ko naman, kanina, tapos na lahat ng activities niya. So we're trying to put together a miniature house. So she likes arts and crafts and I allow her that because we need to encourage our kids, even us, to pursue other things that will help us to, reboot ourselves. Friends, yung sinasabi nyo, baka naman kasama sa routine nyo, nagpupuyat kayo sa Netflix. Kung sobrang minsan lang, pati ang mga K-drama nakakapuyat, ang self-care dapat self-nourishing. Tulog is self-care. Eating right is self-care. And choosing the right influences are self-care. Pero kung hindi nakakatulong, if it's not self-nourishing, and then it's no longer self-care. So please establish and keep a family routine. Include there your routines for school, the set time for breakfast, the set time for lunch. Since I'm working from home also like you, like marami sa atin, we have family lunch. So yung mga anak namin, in-schedule namin na ito tapos na sila. So kahit na 30 minutes lang nag-aabot kami sa lunch, it's important for us. And of course, our family dinner. And it's very critical. And minsan may kanya-kanya kaming oras na kanya-kanya rin lang yung sulok ng bahay. Please encourage self-care time, not just online, but more importantly, offline. And also, the number 2, how can we support our social-emotional well-being? If our children have, by the way, baka sabihin nyo yung self-care, hindi lang yan masahe. Self-care, it's filling your cup full. I'm a sucker for self-care. If you want to know more about what I do and how I encourage and talk about self-care, please, you can just look at my Facebook page. That's Michelle Alignay 1L to be able to get more information about my talks, because there's a lot of videos there available for you on self-care. But you know, if we know how to take care of ourselves, if we have established a routine in the family, kung meron tayong maging problema like misbehavior, it's always easy for us to support. Hindi lahat ng misbehavior ay dahil salbahe ang bata. Ang paborito nating term, salbahe ang bata. Salbahe or walang galang. But let's also check, saan galing yung misbehavior? Every misbehavior, it's connected to a need of a child. And an emotion, emotional outburst, umiyak bigla na frustrate, kailangan malaman natin, meron niyang root. And it will help both parents and kids understand the behavior and help in possible action step. So minsan, your emotions pointed to a need. Pag tayo naiinis na or pag tayo ay galit na galit, tanongin natin sarili natin, ba't ba ako galit na galit? Ano bang ipinaglalaban ko? Healthy ba tong galit na to? Makakatulong ba or hindi? Will it push me into better action or it will just drain me? We have to choose where our energy goes. So yung misbehavior ng anak natin, kung tayo ay magagalit ba, sulit ba? And sometimes, ang mga bata ngayon, ang napansin ko, hindi nila nakikita yung reason bakit nila ginawa ang isang misbehavior. So parents, we need to open our eyes and understand saan galing itong misbehavior. Baka kaya naman ginawa ng anak natin because there's pressure coming from us for them to achieve. Baka naman kaya niya ginawa yung misbehavior because the child just wants to be heard. He or she just wants to be listened to. Another area, why is your child misbehaving? Baka kasi hindi ko siya nabigyan ng oras. Baka kasi nagpapapansin siya, hindi siya KSP. Gusto lang niya na i-affirm mo siya dahil maganda yung ginawa niya. Parents, we have to know the roots of the emotions, your emotions and the children's misbehavior. If we can catch our own emotions, and then it's easy for us to catch the emotions of our kids and their misbehavior. If in case that your kids will not answer, why? Anak, bakit? Park nyo na muna yun. Napansin ko yan sa mga bata ngayon. Minsan hindi nila ma-connect bakit nila nagawa ang isang bagay. Minsan kasi, more than the why, we need to ask, what support do you need, anak? Tanungin din natin sa sarili natin yan. Minsan hindi natin ma-explain bakit natin ginawa or bakit natin nararamdaman. Tanungin natin sa sarili natin, anong kailangan ko ngayon? Ano ang pwede kong gawin? Because that will make a big difference. Instead of saying why, ask, how can I help? Or what support do I need? And you know what? You will learn the root of misbehavior later on. It will come. We don't know when, but you will just have that moment if you know how to support. And the third, I think this is very critical. Talk about feelings. Do you talk about feelings in your house? You know, this is very important. Friends, alam nyo, kung meron isang bagay na dapat tayong ma-develop sa mga anak natin ngayon, is really talking about feelings. We have to create space for each one's feelings. Alam nyo, minsan, ang nahihirapan tayo is that we don't recognize emotions and learn to respond. Kasi pag yung anak natin iiyak na, halimbawa frustrated siya because of the task that they're doing in class, I cannot do this, hindi ko ito magawa, mamang hirap-hirap. Ang sasabihin natin, tumahimik ka, huwag kang umiyak. Huwag kang ma-frustrate, huwag kang malungkot. Or sasabihin natin sa sarili natin, ano ba yan? Nagagalit ka na naman, nalulungkot ka na naman, anxious ka na naman, mali yan. You know, emotions are what we call abnormal. They are not bad, but they're not good. There's two parts in emotions. There is the, we need to learn how to recognize the emotion and if we are responding to it. If we are reacting to our emotion, we are already judging. So halimbawa kung yung ang bata nalulungkot or nagagalit or na-frustrate, pag sinabi natin na hindi ka dapat magalit, that's giving it judgment. But maybe we can allow them, anak, I know you're frustrated. Sige lang, gawin mo yung kaya mo ngayon. Mamaya, usap tayo. Sometimes my daughter will tell me na, I cannot, Mom, I need your help. Anak, I know you need my help. Park it later, I will help you because I have meeting, I have class also. So we have to create space for each one's feelings. You know, friends, if we learn how to talk and we allow our kids to share their feelings, naiinis ako. Bakit ako naiinis? At hindi natin ginajudge at hindi tayo nagre-react sa nararamdaman nila. Do you know that we can get to know each other all over again? You talk about feelings. Na-excite ako bukas, ma'am. Bakit? Kasi meron kaming activity in class. See? So malalaman natin yung insight. Minsan naman sasabihin na anak mo, I'm scared, mom. Why? Dad, I don't want to do this chore. I don't want to do this assignment. Bakit? Kasi takot ako sa teacher. See? So without judgment, ang na-realize ko, my students will tell me, Mom, miss, we need to express our emotions because sometimes with our parents, they judge how we really feel. And please, parents, one of the best things you can offer your children is a listening ear, not a judging head. You're with me? The best thing we can offer to our kids right now to take care of their mental health. At tayo rin mismo, we take care of our own mental health as couples and as a person. Tayo mismo, kung walang nakikinig sa'yo, pakinggan mo yung sarili mo. You have to create space for one's feeling. Kung nainis ka, na-frustrate ka, let it settle. Hindi ito ibig sabihin na magwawala ka dyan, mumurahin mo lahat, or you'll throw a tantrum. One of my tricks with my kids, okay, you're upset, I let you cry. Later, let's talk. Kasi pag sinabayan natin yung inis, yung frustration, yung negative emotion nila, doon po tayo nag-aaway at doon lalong hindi na magagawa ng solusyon. So talk about feelings, it's very critical. Number 4, maintain relationships with family and friends. As I said earlier, we need to create healthy connections in the family. You need to get to know your kids all over again. You know, one of the things, the blessings of quarantine is that I can get to know my kids and my kids get to know me. Minsan po, ang topic namin sa gabi is how it was. Magtatanong yung mga anak ko, Mom, how was it when you were growing up? Or kaya, my husband and I will recall stories nung mag-boyfriend kami, o kaya naman, they will recall stories nung maliit kami, o kaya naman dun sa Facebook memories. Meron mga pictures na lalabas nung 2-year-old sila, kinikwento namin kung paano sila. It's maintaining relationship and getting to know them all over again. So here, maintain healthy connections among each other at home. Kung hindi mawawala, hindi maiiwasan ang problems, hindi maiiwasan ang differences. But as long as you're working things out, that's okay because stress and differences are normal parts of family life. So you have to stay connected with close relationships. You have to choose your connections. You know, since it's the pandemic, I visit my mom. Yun yung madalas namin. Constantly, we visit my mom, we chat with our family, and alam ko rin yung mga anak natin, meron din silang constants. So, if kung magpapaalam po sila, or minsan hindi sila nagpapaalam, Mom, magka-chat lang po or mag-video call po kami ng mga kaibigan ko, i-allow natin sila. Huwag na naman natin sabihin, hindi pwedeng mag-video call. Basta, gawa na yung homework or na-submit na yung synchronous task nila, or tapos na kasi, di ba sa school, nagdadaldalan din naman yan after class eh. They have this in between kwentuhan. So it's the same thing. And they need to feel that connectedness with people so that they can feel better about the situation that we have. Because relationships now is that will keep us well. That is very critical. And number 5, encourage empathy. Di ba, nung maliit tayo, empathy is putting yourself in other person's shoes. So we have to help each other to see and understand each other emotions. Yung nararamdaman natin, paano mararamdaman ng anak mo, galit na galit ka na. Pero since hindi natin tinuro yung empathy, hindi nila mag-gets kung bakit tayo galit. If we blame them, di ba nakita, galit ako? It's hard for them to connect. But when we note other emotions or other people at home, we'll help them in developing empathy and take our perspective. But when we talk to them in a more polite, in a calm manner, anak, kahapon nagalit ako. I am so upset because I told you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but hindi mo ako pinakinggan, hindi mo ako pinansin. That is really upsetting. That makes me feel not valued as your mother, as your father. Anak, sa tingin mo anong mararamdaman ko? That's encouraging empathy. In the little things na nangyayari sa pamilya, kung matututo tayong upuan at kausapin yung anak natin na hindi pa sigaw, hindi pa saway. Alam niyo, ang marami ko narinig sa parents, bakit daw yung mga bata sumasagot na? Di ba po, pinasok naman natin sila sa magandang eskwelahan. At the same time, we encourage them to think critically. So technically, they answer back. They think things critically. Maganda yung tanong na anak ko kanina. I'll just use it as an example. Mom, why do I need to help wash my underwear today? Tomorrow, there's labada. That's correct. But I need to encourage her. Anak, this is a skill that I need you to learn. Alam nyo yung empathy, hindi po yan automatic na nangyayari. We need to encourage our kids to put themselves in our perspective or put themselves in our shoes. Not in a manner na pabalang, not in a manner na pasigaw or pagalit. Gets me? Get me? Pag nagalit tayo na, hindi mo ba nakikita? Then, we are just pushing them away. But if we invite them to sit down, anak, I am really upset. And in a calmer manner, we communicate and we talk about the problem. Then it's gonna be better. We note the emotions at home and we develop the empathy that we need. And it's a process. Anak, sa tingin mo, this is a magic question. Anak, sa tingin mo, why did mommy become upset? Anak, sa tingin mo, bakit nagalit si daddy kagabi? Pag yan tinanong natin at hindi natin binigay lang yung sagot sa anak natin, they will be invited to think. They will be invited to reflect. And that's a skill that they need. So, encourage empathy. And number 6, this is very critical. Teach and model children family values. You know, meal times, our common family activities, are opportunities to teach value. Bakit mahalaga? And discuss about reasons behind the choice to help children understand the family values. Nung nagsimula itong pandemic, we did not automatically buy a gadget. Kahit na alam ko baka mahirapan kami mag-procure ng gadget kasi gusto ko munang maintindihan ng mga anak ko. Anak, sandali, yung tuition nyo muna yung i-secure natin. And then, actually, in all honesty, we can buy naman the gadget, but we would like to have our kids experience hand-me-down. We want our kids to experience not having too much. Because the problem with many kids now, they are becoming entitled. They demand a lot. But it's also up to us parents if we allow them to feel entitled to the many things that they have. They feel entitled that they need to have games. They feel entitled that they need the latest gadget. They feel entitled that they need this, they want this. But here, if we get to know them and we explain slowly na ito yung importante sa atin, hindi natin mabibili yan kasi mas importante ito. Discuss about the reasons behind the choice to help the children understand why is it that we value that. Anak, hindi yan pwede. Bakit, mom? Kasi ganito. Our kids, this generation, they like to ask why. Parents, please bear with them. Please be the person who can sit down with them. Huwag niyo po silang sasagutin the same way na sinagot ng previous generation sa atin. Basta, magulang mo ko. We have to answer them in a manner that they would understand, in the tone that they would appreciate, and they need to understand in the values that we would like them to keep. I would repeat that. We need to sit down with them in the tone that they would understand. They need to learn that in the manner that they would appreciate, and they need to appreciate the value that we would like them to really absorb. It is very critical. That's right po. Dapat explain the priority. Yes. For example, one time sabi ng mga anak ko, Mom, can we go somewhere like they want to go on a trip? Sabi ko, miniro ko sila, yeah, we can go to Disneyland. Sabi ko, not during the pandemic. Sabi ko, but when we go to Disneyland, anak, we will hindi kita maipapasok sa school. Huh? Why? You know, hindi ko naman pwedeng sabihin na money grows on trees. But ang sabi ko, because the exact amount that we pay for school for the whole year, that's the exact amount that we will use for the trip. So they get to see, kahit nagtatrabaho si mami at si daddy, kailangan may sweat equity. So that's modeling also values. And also, you know, parents, I know many of us are watching, you know how to model the right relationships. Alam ko marami sa ating parents ng high school. We're afraid na yung anak natin magkamali sa relasyon, magkamali na magkaroon ng boyfriend, girlfriend, kahit na pandemic. Of course, may love life yung mga yan. They are developing adolescents. But friends, how can you model the family value? How can you model love, marriage, and regard for the Lord? You marriage it in your marriage. That's why it's very critical for us. Sabi, in my doctoral dissertation, one of the things that I've noted among Catholic parents is that they need to model a good marriage. Huwag kayong mahiya na maging sweet sa harap ng anak nyo. Hindi kayo malaswa. Malaswa kung hindi kayo kasal. Or hindi kayo married to each other. You know what I mean? What is malaswa is kung hindi kayo yung magulang at yung naglalampungan sa kalye. But if you want to model marriage and the right kind of relationship, this is the time to get into, if you have high school, get into the conversation with them. Anak, ano ba sa inyo yung love life? Ano ba sa inyo yung ligawan? Ano ba yung mutual understanding? For us to get the insights of our kids and for us to explain also bakit importante yung pag-aaral. Because yung time natin, ang in-explain na lang sa atin, basta mag-aaral ka mabuti, huwag ka mag-asawa. Pero alam nyo, ang tanong ng mga bata ngayon, so kailan ako pwedeng mag-boyfriend or mag-girlfriend? Sabihin natin pagkatapos ng mag-aaral, pandemic pa ngayon. Di mga 22, 23 na sila. Developmentally appropriate pa ba? I don't know. But look at this way. Maybe it's start to have conversations with them kung ano yung dapat na meron sa relasyon. Kung ano yung dapat meron tayo, buo yung sarili natin. Dapat yung relasyon, hindi mo hinahanap yung sarili mo sa iba. So, we teach and model values. We teach, you know, with kids, values are caught, not taught. Pag sinasabi lang, value wala. So, in kids, you know, we should walk our talk. You know one thing how we model values also? We say sorry. Yan yung isa kong nakita. If tayo ang nagkamali, it's not wrong for us to apologize and say, anak, I'm sorry, I mistook it as this. We need to apologize. Iba po yan dun sa ginagawa tayong na sunod-sunuran ng anak. But saying sorry is also humility for our kids to know that we're learning as parents also. We learn from each other. Okay? And lastly, this is the last point. Practice generosity and gratefulness. Parents, do you practice generosity and gratefulness once a week or maybe twice a week before we pray as a family? We also check what are you grateful. We also check with each other and also ask them, what are you grateful about? Ayan. What are you grateful about? You know, I've heard many times from Brother Bo Sanchez, he said that worry and gratefulness cannot exist on the same plate. Tama. So if we are always worried, it's hard for us to be grateful. So what we have now, kahit na hindi perfecto, when we want a best life or when we want to be grateful, it doesn't mean that life is perfect. We have to recognize the good in each person in each situation. For example, nakita natin yung anak natin na dati ang tanghali ng magising, kailangan natin pang talagang bulabugin sa kama. Maybe we can try to note that, anak, thank you for waking up earlier now. So don't focus on the perfection, focus on the progress, because there is something each day, there is something that we can be thankful about. Can you say that with me? Can you put there in the comment section, today I am thankful for blank? Can you just make yourself grateful at the very moment you're hearing me? Can you put that in your comment section? Today I am grateful for blank. Care to share and share to show care. Again, care to share and share to show care. Okay lang maging mushy, okay lang maging cheesy sa bahay. Friends, minsan mas mashy pa tayo online. Doon pa tayo nag-honorary post parang appreciation post, but we fail to appreciate and be grateful for the people inside, and we fail to tell them how much we appreciate them. My challenge for you, friends, how can we cope at home? How can we cope better in our relationships? Friends, care to share. Share to show care. Show the family that you care, para hindi po maramdaman ng mga bata na iniiwanan ako sa ere ng magulang ko. Alam niyo, ang isa kong napansin, friends, ang hirap sa mga bata na to be grateful kung sa parents laging we're almost blaming, or we're always I have chickens in my neighborhood. Pero kung laging mariinig ng anak ko na nagagalit ako, it's hard for them to be grateful also. Kung ang nakikita natin lagi yung mali, at tayo mismo binabash natin yung mga bagay na mali, napakahirap po na turuan ng gratefulness at generosity ang ating mga anak. Pero kung tayo mismo generous tayo with affirming them, with saying, I love you, with all sincerity, we're checking with them, anak, do you need help? Anak, do you need my support? And then they would feel we have each other. They would feel that I have my mommy and my daddy. I know that I can depend on them. So that's number 7, practice generosity and gratefulness. And one of the things that I would like to point out, this is not included in the list, but as I was preparing for this with Dr. Jesusa, this is something that I've written in my family goals book. Do not sanitize life for your children. Friends, how do we cope? Alam kong nahihirapan yung anak natin. Nahihirapan din tayo. But I would like you to realize, if we keep over-functioning and we keep hovering, answering their task, answering their activities for them, they will not grow. They may learn a bit, they may get high honors, they would get things right now, but they will not grow. Huwag niyong masyadong perfectuhin ang lahat ng bagay sa anak natin, because nawawalan sila ng grit, nawawalan sila ng ability to be resourceful, at inaalis natin yung opportunity for them to learn from mistakes, to learn from difficulties. Look where you are now, friends. I know you are where you are because our teacher is like a pandemic. Our teachers are our difficulties. Our teacher is yung napagalitan tayo dati. Ang isang teacher ko, I have very good handwriting. Ang teacher ko doon, hindi penmanship teacher. Ang teacher ko doon, yung mommy ko, dahil sa galit niya sa akin, dahil ang pangit ng sulat ko, hinagis niya yung notebook ko when I was in grade 4. So that's my teacher. Don't be afraid to put the brakes with your kids. Do not be afraid to put boundaries. Do not be afraid if your kids are not following. Sabihin mo, hindi siya sumusunod sa akin, nag-online games lang siya, nag-YouTube lang siya. You have to make them cringe. If you need to detox them and not make them use the computer for other school stuff, if you need to get it, get it. One thing that I realized, I need to structure the schedule of my children. Hanggang dito ka lang, anak, hanggang tanto yung oras. Pag sumobra na kayo, finish or not finish with your schoolwork, finish or not finish with what you need to submit, I would get your gadget. I can be loving, but when we have the right connection with our kids, you know what? It's easier to make them cringe. Paborito yan ng mga bagay ngayon, ng mga bata ngayon. Cringe. And I love saying that. We have to make our children cringe. Nahihirapan sila. Tayo nagki-cringe ngayon sa hirap natin. Yes, pero alam nyo ba? We have to make them cringe also para matuto sila na maging madiskarte at lumayo sa buhay. Not to cheat, but to find an opportunity on what they can learn and how they can cope with life after the pandemic. Alam nyo, one thing, this pandemic is teaching us to find God's message behind the mess. Can you say that with me? We have to find God's message behind the mess. And that is very true. Hindi nangyari to. God did not allow this to happen. Of course, God did not make this, but it happened. And for us, there's a message behind this. For me personally, what is God teaching me? The message of simplicity, the message of resiliency, and the message of the mission. The mission to do what I need to do, even though that life has, have been difficult. I still have a mission to fulfill. I am speaking to you right now. This is a mission. Still have articles to write. I still have a college and graduate school students to teach. That's my mission. One of the missions that unfolded in my life is that I need to have my free Facebook Live while during this quarantine. I started at April. Until now, I'm doing it. And I am glad that God led me to that mission. And what is the message that God is teaching us? For me, as I said, simplicity. It's also teaching us to resiliency. And I don't know with you. Can you tell me what is God's message to you? Sana kung meron kayong matutunan about this. How can we cope? We have to know that one day we will realize that God has a message, God has a purpose behind the pain, and God has a blessing behind the burden. And let me end with this. The core of parenting and coping in the digital age is to make meaningful connection. It's not about gaano kataas ang memory ng gadget or ng phone nyo. It's not about pinakamahal ba yung connection mo, your fiber connection. I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, at the end of this pandemic, you know what? If we have done our parenting well, if we get to know our kids better, it's more than enrolling them in schools. The school now is complementary, but the core of family life is for us to parent well and to cope and to connect meaningfully. Complement, cope, connect. That's how I started this session. And I would like you to realize that. Complement with school, cope healthily, and connections. Make real connections. And if you would like to get to know more about what I do, I have my Facebook Live. It's called Coffee Break with Dr. Michelle. It's real conversations on personal growth, family life, and well-being. It's at Facebook. My Facebook is Michelle Alignay. And I also have that in Spotify and in YouTube. And if you would like to avail of my books, and if you would like to know more about what I do, I have these 3 wonderful books, Growing Up Wired, co-authored with Dr. Quirino, and then Family Goals, Embracing the Imperfections of Family Life, and The Beauty of 40. You can check my Facebook page for details and link about the books. But I would end again, connections with bridge corrections. Complement school with real life. And I hope that through this, it's not about the crisis, but our ability, capacity to cope with the crisis. Dagdagan natin. It's not about the crisis, it's not about the difficulty, but our ability to cope, ability to be better, and our ability to be stronger as a family amidst this crisis situation. At the end of the day, alam nyo, hindi niya, nagkaroon pa tayo ng mas matibay na pamilya, mas matibay na relasyon. And
so, Doc Michelle, I have read the comment section.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, ma'am.
Yeah, and there are at least 3 questions given to me, but there is one question here that caught my eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
How to cope with independent children? Kasi yung iba, parang it's a very common question in this time of pandemic. Pero siya, iba yung question niya, ha? How are we going to cope up in case we have a very independent children na, ay, alam ko na yan, ma. Alam ko na yan, pa. I can do that, ma. I can do that, pa.
Yeah, good. I can relate with that because I have a very independent son. So, kinukumusta namin siya once in a while. And we always offer the question, anak, is there anything we can help you with? So pag meron siyang materials for a project na kailangan, kailangan ko po ng ganito, sinasabi niya sa amin. So, always offer. Saka maganda dyan, you create the connection. Anak, anong plano mo ngayon? Anong iyong activity? Magbibisikleta ka ba? Anong gagawin mo after? So, spend time. Kasi alam mo yun, tapos na. Yung pagbaba ng anak ko, tapos na niya yung task niya for school. Hindi na rin niya pinapacheck at hindi ko na rin sinecheck. He's high school and I give him that trust. Pero, meron kaming rule. Ito yung parameter mo, pagkakatiwalaan ka namin, pero make sure that this is what you work on. Medyo sinasabi ko po sa anak ko na, alam ko yung capacity nyo eh. Alam ko kung anong mental ability nyo. Being a guidance counselor, I know their mental ability, ma'am. So, pag alam ko, ito yung mental ability nyo, alam ko na medyo above average kayong dalawa, dapat ang grades nyo, hindi bababa dyan. Pero, kung ang mental ability ng bata, it's mas mababa. So, you will expect na okay na yung ganitong grades, diba? So, kailangan lang alalay pa rin. At mas maganda, kilalanin niyo ulit yung iba niyang interest. Yun po.
No matter how independent they are, we are still here as parents for you.
Yes. And I think they appreciate the support.
Yeah. So the second question, before anything else, please, parents, don't forget to answer the evaluation for you to win lots of prizes. Second question, Doc, I would like to know your stand regarding the suicidal incidents of some students in this challenging time. Some of them are embarking about academic quiz, and some are coping with the new normal of education.
Okay, maganda po yung tanong mo niya, ma'am. In all honesty, those incidents are already kumbaga, putok ng bulkan. Kumbaga, bago pa pumutok yung bulkan, may activity na. Level 1, level 2, alam natin yan, level 3 and level 4. Level 4 na yan. So, hindi nangyari yan. We've noticed that many problems in the family, many problems in the child are already existent pre-pandemic. May level 1 and 2 concerns na yan. So may problema sa coping strategy or wala silang makausap about it. So meron ng mga pattern. It's just that the pandemic or the distance learning triggered the situation. So we have to look. Kaya yung nangyaring yan, it's sad na kinoconnect dyan sa learning online. Tama po ba?
Yes.
Pero sa totoo lang, it may seem like it, but the problems, even your family problems right now, even your discipline problems with your children, even the media use of your children, it's not the problem of distance learning. They are already existent pre-pandemic that we did not actually addressed. But it magnifies now because we are all at home, and second, our kids are with us, and third, we don't have a choice but to deal with the problem. So it's already there. Nandyan na po yung brewing, multifactorial, sasabihin natin, multifacet na triggers, multifacet factors affecting it that is triggered only by distance learning. I hope that is clear.
Thank you, Doc Michelle. Most probably, that's where your ABC will come in, the alignment and communication. No?
Yeah, alam nyo, parents, gusto kong sabihin to, Ma, yung mga parents natin na nag-worry sa mental health ng anak natin, ang maganda, balik tayo dun. Alignment nyo, kumustahin nyo yung bonding nyo, kumustahin nyo yung communication. Kasi pag may discipline problem, pag hindi talaga kayo magka-align sa distance learning, unahin nyo muna yung relasyon.
Yeah.
Kasi pag naayos nyo yung relasyon, mas madali na kayong mag-retol. Kasi napansin ko po yan, pag may misbehavior yung anak ko, ang ginagawa ko, I spend more time. Nag-emotional deposit ako.
Yes.
Yun yung tawag ko doon, emotional investment, emotional deposit. Para pag pinagsabihan na, and may communication na kami, yung sinasabi ko kanina, compliance or conversation, conversation will be followed by compliance. Pero kung puro compliance lang, mukha po tayong taga-utos lang ng anak natin. Wala tayong relasyon. Mas mahirap yun.
That's why we really have to build the relationship in a family. The next question is somewhat related to the previously asked question. My son said to me last week that he suddenly feels sad without any reason. I'm quite afraid. What should I do?
Listen. Just listen and sit down with your child. Don't be afraid, because if you are afraid, baka ikaw rin maging sad. But you want, anak, is there something that triggered it? Kilalanin niyo anak niyo, magtanong kayo ng mga prodding question. Bakit, what are the events that happened to you the past days? Halika, tingnan natin. Baka meron dyan, nalungkot ka pala, hindi mo lang na-realize. Okay, is there something that I can support you with? Medyo mahirap to minsan pag busy tayo. Pero pag sinabi natin sa anak natin na, anak, is there something that I can support you with? Pag sinabi natin yan sa mga bata, it's possible that meron. Para alam din nila at maramdaman po nila na nakasuporta at nakaalalay pa rin tayong mga magulang.
So, indeed, listening to you, it will always make us parents to feel the love, the need for the love in a family. Now we really have to establish the relationship so that we can understand our children, and the children will also understand their parents as well. Actually, there are a lot of questions, and most probably these parents wanted really to get in touch and hear from you more. So this will not be our last meeting virtually, but definitely we will find time inviting you for more sessions like this. But for this afternoon, definitely we are very thankful that you shared with us your expertise, especially that we have 2,500 viewers.
Wow!
Michelle.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I am much excited.
Yeah. There are really so many parents who really wanted to know more on how they are going to cope up as far as the relationship with their children is concerned. And we are also thankful that they are here with us. And likewise, thank you so much, Doc Michelle. So allow me to read the certificate of recognition. Yes. Manila Ecclesiastical Province School Systems Association awards the Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Michelle S. Alignay, RPRGC, for sharing her time, knowledge, and expertise as resource speaker in the webinar entitled How to Cope Up with Education in the New Normal Online Classes during the MAPSA 2020 Virtual General Assembly with the theme, Be Not Afraid, I Will Make All Things New. Given this 9th day of October in the year of our Lord 2020. Signed, Reverend Father Kennedy A. Neral, PhD, Chair, MDGA 2020, Superintendent, CADSA. Reverend Father Albert N. Delbo, PhD, Chairman and President of MAPSA. Again, Dr. Alignay, Ichel, as you are fondly called, thank you so much, and please expect more calls from us.
Thank you so much po. Thank you very much, Mrs. Susa. And thank you to the MAPSA. And thank you also to my friends from Rex Bookstore who, invited me and bring me on board for this webinar. I hope that our parents learned something, and I would just invite you, if you have time, you can just check my videos at Facebook, my Michelle Alignay page, and it's on Spotify and YouTube to have more discussions about this. And may God be praised and God bless us all in this trying situation. Thank you, Ma'am Jesus. I am delighted to be here with you this afternoon.